Hey everybody, welcome to TForbes Reviews, the show where I let you know what I think about all the movies, books, video games, and TV shows that mattered to me. Today I have something special for you because it's time for TForbes 2 Review Community! Yes, the time has finally come. The October 19th that we've been waiting for has finally arrived, and with it, the premiere of the 4th season of Community. Now, it's no secret that Community has a very small but passionate fanbase. 6 seasons in a movie. There were quite a few of us that had mixed feelings or apprehensions about this season, mainly due to all the controversy at the end of the last season. For those of you that don't know, it was kind of an emotional roller coaster. First, they weren't sure if they were even going to get renewed for a 4th season, and then they were, and we were all like, yay! And then showrunner Dan Harmon and Chevy Chase got into a disagreement that ended up with Dan Harmon getting fired, and we were all like, aww. But then the network announced that he would be staying on as a consultant, and we were all like, yay! But then he was like, no, that's a lie, I'm out, peace. And we were like, ah. But then he said that he believed the show was in good hands with the writers that remained, and we were all like, yay? There were a lot of us watching this premiere with mixed feelings of hope and dread. Was it going to be more of the show that we knew and loved, even without the involvement of the series' creator? Or was it going to end up a hollow shell of its former glory? Now, just to get it out of the way, I'm going to say I was not disappointed with this episode. While I wouldn't say it was one of their best episodes, it's definitely one of the better ones. One thing that I thought was an especially clever choice for the first episode back after all this drama was the fact that the main lesson of this episode was that change, while scary sometimes, doesn't always have to be a bad thing. Of course, this message is being relayed by an imaginary Jeff inside Abed's head living out a hilarious, standard, typical sitcom version of their own lives, but I'll get more to that in a minute. This premiere episode finds our favorite study group dealing with the fact that in their 4th year of college, they're going to be graduating soon. Jeff initially sees it as a dream come true, and with only 1 credit remaining to graduate, is desperate to get out of there and restart his life as a successful lawyer. That 1 credit just happens to be history, and the only history credit available is the deliciously named History of Ice Cream, a course which mysteriously seems to have been overbooked. That's where the main conflict of Jeff's story comes in this episode. He must compete in a series of challenges created by the Dean as part of the Hunger Deans in order to win enough red balls that will allow him and the rest of the study group into this course. It doesn't make much more sense in context, but overall I have to say the Hunger Deans competition is a lot of fun. It's just another one of those wacky things we expect from the Dean, and luckily it provides us with such hilarious lines like, oh my god, Jeff, are you bleeding? No, don't worry, it's just Leonard's. Oh, okay then. In the end, Jeff sacrifices his early graduation for his friends, and he doesn't even have to make a speech at the end of the episode, even though he does assure us it would have been a great one. And then there's Annie, who, confronted with the boring, mundane life beyond college, tries to kind of chill out and develop a case of senioritis where she'll pull pranks all day and just not really care. It goes about as well as you'd expect, and her attempt to prank the Dean with Shirley's help eventually devolves into her just breaking down and returning to the neurotic Annie we all know and love. At the end of the episode, she ultimately decides to take a class in forensics, which seems to be out there enough that she gets some kind of closure that everything isn't set in stone. Over the summer, Troy and Britta's relationship is apparently developed to the point of hand-holding and fountain wrestling, but that's really all we got from them in this episode. And Pierce just spends the entire episode trying to come up with the perfect ball joke. The bulk of the A-story in this episode belongs to Abed, who's once again entered a catatonic state, this time brought on by the fact that the change coming to the group of them all graduating is just too much for him to handle. So he escapes into his head into a version of Abed TV, where their lives are just sitcoms, and nothing ever changes. These segments in his head where he's trying to escape the changing group dynamics, I always thought were they were the highlight of the episode. They were the funniest parts, and they were really the kind of dark comedy that Community is known for. Unfortunately, the changing group dynamics bleed into his imagination, and eventually he kind of has to accept that things are going to happen, things are going to change, and he can't control that. But change can be good sometimes. I think if I had to have one real criticism of this episode, it would be that Abed he came to this realization and personal growth all on his own, which should be a positive trait for him, especially considering every other character on the show has had some serious personal growth and development since the 1st season. The problem is that it's been established numerous times that Abed doesn't want to change. He doesn't need to change. He's happy the way he is. Nowhere is this more clear than the episode with the My Dinner with Andre parody, where Abed just doesn't connect with other people the same way that regular people do, and he doesn't care. He's never going to. That's been kind of force-fed to us since the beginning of the 1st season as a consistent, character trait. So it just felt weird to have Abed make this, grand realization all on his own. Overall, I'm looking forward to more episodes of Community in the weeks to come, especially considering the reveal of Kevin, who's suffering from Changnesia. Either way, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, favorite if you really liked it, leave comments, share it, do all those great things that you do, and I'll see you guys next time.